So, I've been really kind of enthralled with the term dialectic lately in the last few days, and I kind of thought that would be something we could focus on because it's and in relation to meditation. Many of us we enter meditation and spiritual practice and hope that our lives are going to get better. Be less anxious, have more peace and calm in our lives, less chaos, maybe be more effective. And this is the carrot. It's what motivates us to practice, but it's not actually what this practice is about at its essence. And what we may discover is that in the process of practice, something shifts. You may have noticed this for yourself. And the goal of being permanently peaceful and anxiety-free drops away. We discover from experience that we'll never be permanently anxiety-free. We'll still have periods of discontent and chaos. And the goal we started with, we discover, is in a way unattainable. There's no permanent, perfect peace and calm. But in a way, that's the point. We can discover that it's possible to be at peace with not feeling peaceful. You probably heard me say that before, to be at peace with not feeling peaceful. It's paradoxical in that statement. It's like the restatement of transactional analysis is I'm okay and you're okay, which becomes I'm not okay and you're not okay, and that's okay. Linguistically, this is a dialectic. Marshall Linehan's dialectic behavior therapy was the very first mainstream therapy that explicitly included mindfulness as a part of the method and philosophy. And the meaning of dialectic is to hold two seemingly contradictory points of view simultaneously. And the dialectic in Linehan's dialectic behavior therapy, DBT, is first, A, you're okay just as you are. You don't need to change to be loved. And B, you need to change, holding both of those at the same time. And originally, Linehan created DBT to treat clients who are suicidal, something she understood well from her own experience with being suicidal early in her life. And if you've read her memoir, you'll see this. It's called Building a Life Worth Living. I'll put that in the notes. In fact, I'll just do that now while I'm thinking about it, and it'll be in the chat. So it's there to you can find that all the notes from this meeting there. She knew these clients both needed to know they deserved love, just exactly as they are, and at the same time to be strongly encouraged to make behavioral changes through what was a rigorous set of group meetings and practices. It's quite involved. And the magic is between these two paradoxical positions. As a therapist, Linehan through DBT, she really was literally able to hold both of these positions simultaneously. Too much focus on the first, that you're okay just as you are, and then there's no growth or movement. And too much focus on the second, which if there's work to be done, can result in self-improvement, a self-improvement attitude which can be based on self-hatred and not ultimately successful at bringing peace. And there's a similar dialectic at work in some spiritual disciplines. First, everything is perfect and beautiful just as it is. Don't worry, be happy. There's nowhere to go and nothing to do. Or in non-dual lingo, not even anybody, any individual person doing it. That's the one part of the dialectic. And the other is spiritual growth doesn't happen by accident. For most of us, it's a result of dedicated practice. And at the extreme, we get in the mode of better and longer meditations and retreats, finding the right teachers, the right practices. And too much on the first, that everything is okay, results in no growth or delusion. Too much focus on the second, always believing one has to do more, practice harder, concentrate more, is frustrating and ultimately counterproductive. So I've been thinking about this quite a bit, and I was reminded of a Jack Kornfield video I've shared with you before, I think, but it's good to remember. And what he says is, it's good to remember that you have a Buddha nature, that everything, you included, is perfect just the way it is. But don't forget your zip code, that there is work to do here and now. And the art is holding both at the same time, and that's the dialectic of spiritual practice. So here, I'll start this up. It'll start right at about 5 minutes and it'll stop probably after about 8 minutes or so. So let me set this up.
But it's not about fixing or doing or making. It's really about being in the presence of this mystery into which we are born and meeting it with an open heart, beginner's mind. Because when we do, then something of beauty comes out of us. It wants to come out of us. And part of what's mysterious and why a place like Spirit Rock or wherever you find as a sanctuary is important is that there are two dimensions to our being. In the Buddhist tradition, they're talked about the two truths, sometimes the relative and absolute, which is a very bad translation. The universal and the personal is a much better translation. And what it means is that you have to remember your Buddha nature and your zip code. And if you forget either one, you're in trouble. I mean, you do need to know your social security number, and you have to drive on the right-hand side of the road, and you have to engage in the world, and it's part of living your incarnation, to do it and do it with some dignity and elan and ease and, fall down the well and get in the dungeons and do that and pick yourself back up, but make something in the world. You have to do that. But you can't make anything of value if you forget your Buddha nature, if you forget who you really are and what you have to offer this world. In another culture, in another mythological language, it's called the two agreements. That when you're born and you come into this world, you come with a purpose, or with a gift, if you will, with something that's uniquely yours to bring into this world, and no one has ever brought the gifts of your particular life and being into this world before. And then you look around and you say, wow, I got this family, right, and this neighborhood, and this culture, and this country, and so forth. And you realize you sort of have to negotiate a lot of agreements with them, what kind of a child you'll be, and how you deal with the school or the economic system and so forth. Those are all called the second agreement. And you have to find your way through those. You can't not do it. But they're not the first agreement. The first agreement is the agreement of the spirit or the soul or whatever language you want to use that comes into this world with some gift to give, something to do. And if you do all those other second agreement things, and get it all together outwardly, and forget the first one, you're not happy, you're not satisfied, you're not fulfilled. It's as if the king or queen has given you this great errand to do, and you go across the seas, and you go to this other kingdom, and you find all these people and adventures and do all these things, and you forget the main errand that you went to do. And then you come back, and they say, well, did you do it? And in some way, you have a great errand as a human being on the earth, and as a unique human being, with your particular beauty and gifts and wisdom and compassion and understanding. This is your Buddha nature, to bring it out in some fashion. And without that, you won't be happy. So what a sanctuary does is it offers a place to remember in the midst of all this, to reconnect with what we really know and love and care about. And it doesn't mean it's easy. Zen Master Ryokan, the most beloved of all the poets of Japan, he writes, "The vicissitudes of this world are like the movements of the clouds. 50 years of life are but one long dream. Sparse rain, in my desolate hermitage at night, quietly I clutch my robe and lean against the empty window, lonely, dizzy, nothing here but dreams." So he writes, or crickets disturbed by my unexpected visit, shriek, looking up, I see the setting sun. Unbearable loneliness. That's one of his poems. And then on the other hand, he writes, spring morning, the children and I go out to pick vegetables. What could be more wonderful? Playing in a garden among the cherry trees, my sleeves covered with blossoms, the children laughing, the flowers fall like snow on the earth. And Ryokan celebrates all of it. He takes his sanctuary there, And he says there's loneliness and love and longing and connection and birth and death and the 10,000 joys and sorrows. And in the midst of it, you sense that he is that he's found his place in it all, that his heart is open to it all, and that he's true to himself in the midst of it all, in this beautiful way, that he's free. So what is your sanctuary? You can go up into the mountains and the Sierras, walk by the ocean, take time alone. Those are the outer forms of sanctuary. Come to a retreat. But as Nelson Mandela said, we are not yet free. We have merely achieved the freedom to be free. We have all these outward capacities for freedom. But what does it mean to find this place of freedom within yourself? Freedom with joy and sorrow, with gain and loss. The freedom to love in the middle of it all. And when you come to meditate, the line from Rumi, he writes, pay regular visits to yourself. I mean, it's that simple. And meditation isn't about getting some state. Okay, I'm going to sit and breathe and open the chakras and raise the kundalini and have this light, and, open this and have this fabulous vision and then open like this guy and hold it. Okay, I got it. Fantastic. But after a while, you get stuck even there. You have to breathe. Okay, it opens and it closes. And my teacher Ajahn Chah said, if you haven't wept deeply, you probably haven't really learned to meditate yet. Doesn't mean that everyone has to weep all the time, but we carry the tears of the world with us. We do. And we carry the love of the world with us. And the tears need to be wept and the love needs to be felt. Not for anybody else and not because you need to do it. That's not quite the right word. But because the soul needs to do it, the heart, the spirit, in order to fulfill the gift that you've been given of your life and to bring something beautiful into this world. So you sit in meditation and instead of stopping the feelings and thoughts and so forth, you bow to each one. Oh yes, this too. And you step out of the body of fear, the small sense of self, and become the ground, the temple, the sanctuary yourself, the guest house, and say, oh yes, you too, and you too. And here I am, like the Buddha, under the tree of enlightenment, saying, yes, this too. And here I am, still heart open with compassion in the midst of it all.
All right, so we'll move into a meditation from here. And after meditation, we'll do small groups and then large group. So just making yourself comfortable. And by the way, this link and some notes about this topic are available on the website. And the link that I put in chat, the one that says Zoom Notes, will contain that. So if you want to have access to that. So just making yourself comfortable wherever you are and however you're sitting or resting. And letting yourself just sense into the body. Letting your body tell you how it is. How your feet are making contact with the floor or what you're sitting on. Actually sensing how you're supported by what you're sitting on. How indirectly you're supported through the earth that connects you to everybody. Feeling sensations of contact, of touch, of coolness, of warmth, throbbing, whatever it is you sense. Noticing how your arms are resting at your sides or in your lap. And when you're ready, feeling your breath. Just wherever it is you feel it most vividly. Could be in your tummy or your chest or your throat or your nostrils. There's no right place to feel your breath. It's wherever you can actually sense the movement that happens on its own without you having to control it. In any kind of a concentrated meditation, as a breath meditation is, your mind may wander somewhere else, and finding it in analysis, observing what's going on and analyzing it, or thinking about the past or the future. Something is going on in your life, and that's literally part of the meditation, but recognizing that and bringing your awareness gently but firmly back to sensations of breathing. Letting your breath be exactly how it is. You're breathing just fine. There's nothing to do or nothing you have to control. And as you sit there, you might recall a time when you felt that you were part of something much bigger than yourself. Maybe a time when you were in nature and feeling part of something much bigger, including all of what's around you. Or a group setting where you experienced deep community with family or friends. Or a time when you're working on an important project or social cause with others. A time when concerns about your individual self kind of dropped away. It didn't mean you became inactive, but your engagement was something, a part of something much larger. And there may be a number of experiences that come up. And just think if you can just settle on one just for a moment, remembering where you were, who you were with if you're with somebody else. How it felt then to be part of something much larger than yourself. How it feels now to recall this. How it is now just to be with yourself and in the company of others. The next 6 or 7 minutes will be in silence, and you can continue on this theme or make it a breath meditation, or however you want to use this time that you have for yourself. it'll end with a chime.